I'm third born in a family of four, but right now we're just three siblings because we lost our last born in 2018. So, yeah, I'm from a single parent. My dad and mom separated when I was young, so it's my mom who raised us up.
So, growing up, how was it?
Well, after my mom and dad separated, even before they separated, we saw a lot of abuse on my mom. And my dad was not physical, he was just mental. He would abuse her. He used to use English thinking that we don't understand what he's trying to do. And then my older sister was so cheeky. She would go get a dictionary, go look at that word, and then she would come and tell us, hey, you know what that just called, mom? And then we would go over it. So after they separated, we moved over to another place, and now my mom was raising four children on her own, on a teacher's salary. So it was a bit tough. And our last born was special case. She was sickly all throughout. So all my mom's focus was mostly on my late sister. So juggling between being a teacher and being a mother was hard for her. So it wasn't so easy. I was mostly the quiet one. I was the tiny one, the small one. So I was bullied a lot because of that. And in my family, because now when we get home, we want to tell mom story, everyone is screaming. She couldn't handle all of us talking at once. So it was always competition of who mom is going to listen to, which story is the best. So I just retreated. It's my way of protecting myself. I put walls, and then I'll just start creating my tomorrow, my future, my everything. And it became, that's how I started. I learned how to cope with difficulties, with pain, with everything. So from a very young age, others would fight to talk to mom, the competition, but I would retreat. Either I would be reading a book at night, or I'll be creating castles in the air. So that's how I grew up, all through.
You said you retreated, read a book at night and all that. How old were you at that point?
Wow, I was so young. Let's say 10, because my mom and dad separated when we were 9. I was 9, then the 10th year, because now my mom would leave school at 4, then we'd do the whole house chores, all of us, and then in the evening, that's when everyone is telling her about their day and everything, and it was more of a competition, like, mom, I had this, and then when you're speaking, another one is coming in, no. And because I was tiny and my voice was also tiny, I always got lost in the middle. So I learned it's a battle I can never win. So I retreated. So I would just sit down and just create my own things in the air. And
that must be sad.
Yeah.
Sorry for that.
Well, you get used to it. I think I still had from that. Yeah, I wish I had a bigger voice. And I understand raising 4 children alone in a new place, it's not easy. And then she has a job, she has to provide for you guys. But at that moment, I didn't want my child to end up like that. Yeah.
So you went to school?
Yeah, I was good in school actually. I joining school early was because we didn't have a house help when we were dads. And I was so tiny, I could not, you see how tiny I am, yeah? So I was tiny baby. At 3 years, I could not walk fast. And then we were going up the hill and to get to school. So my mom would just put me on her back and then we go to school. So she just said, now that we don't have a house help, let's just take her to school with the rest. If she performs, fine. If she doesn't, then she repeats nursery school. Those days we never had the kindergarten and stuff. We just had nursery school and then you go to grade 1. So I went to school and I passed. So the teacher said, she's so sharp, let her just continue schooling. So I passed my class 8. I'm the only one who managed to go to a boarding secondary school. But one thing that parents don't know, it feels like you're being sent away while the rest are at home, the mom now. So for me, I love the fact that I was in boarding school. I learned a lot. But still, you feel like, why are the others at home? Well, you are out here alone. And to my mom, it was, I want to give you the best because you're sharp, you can do something with your life. But to me as a child, you feel like you're missing on a lot of stuff. You're missing on Sunday services, you're missing on going to Larry's, you're missing on going to football, you're missing all these beautiful things because you're in a boarding school. So that is more of like a prison where the rest are just enjoying their lives. Yeah, so I managed to pass my Form 4, but I started drinking alcohol in secondary school. When you don't get these positive words at home, and then you get them from the outside, where will you go? Of course, the outside will draw you out. So I had a guy who was 10 years older from college, and he noticed for the first time. It was like, for the first time, somebody noticed I exist. For the first time, someone is having a conversation with me. For the first time, I was so excited. I remember I was 15 years old. I went home and I said, yes, somebody saw me. I was just so happy. And then one thing led to another. We had illicit affair that we had to hide because it was so illegal. Like, I could have been killed, he could have been killed. Our parents, I don't know what they could have done to us, but he noticed. My thing was, he noticed me. He told me all these things I've been waiting for my mom to say, I'm proud of you. For my, our African culture, parents don't tell children, I love you. It's like, you don't say those things. So these are the things that I had from the outside. So instead of retreating on the inside, I started going out. So I would come home for a holiday. I would do my chores in the morning. At 2 p.m., I would head out to the clinic. He started a clinic in the village. So I was so happy to have someone notice me. So when he introduced alcohol to me, I drank it. I was, I think, 17 years. It was so easy. It was so nice. And I trusted him. He was like, this is a nice one. Let's just try it. And it came out nicely. I felt nice that the high, you don't have to think about my mom beating me up because, you're high and everything. It gave me a high. It gave me something. It helped me sleep at night. It helped me numb everything on the inside. So
this guy was a doctor?
Yeah, he was a doctor.
And he gave you alcohol. So, you guys were in a party or something?
No, he just texted on my mother's phone and told me, come. And there was alcohol in his house, so we drank.
Took advantage of
I think he's the most manipulative person I ever met in my life, because he would turn something that was so ugly into something that was so beautiful. I was not the only woman he was having an affair with. And all the time, I would catch him. He would be like, you're young, our families, we can't be open, what is going to happen. And then because I was young, you get to understand, by the way, you're protecting each other by hiding the relationship. But he was not hiding the other girls he was having affairs with. Everyone in his home knew he was having these affairs, but no one knew about me and him affair.
Was he married?
No, he wasn't.
So he was just having fun?
Yeah, even when he got married, we still continued having an affair. Like, he kept on saying, if it were not for our families, we would get married, I wish I can just take you away. Those things that makes you feel, it's only because of circumstances. I was always his first. But right now when I think about it, that's a lie. It is a huge lie. He lied. So, and from that, I always felt second best. You don't feel like you're the first. You will never be first. It was like, at home, I'll never be first, because now there's my sister, there's my cousin, my brother, my late sister. All of them are getting attention from mom, right? And this person who sees me also is having other people. So you are never always the first. So even when I got into another relationship, still, that guy was also cheating. So I was never good enough. I always knew from when I was a young girl, I was never good enough. So when I finished secondary school, I left home, I went to look for jobs. I was a very outgoing person. I loved adventure. I still do. I love adventure. So I left home and I got a job as a house girl. And the family was so nice because I was so tiny and they were saying, I'm really hardworking. The house was so huge. We were many of us. But at least I could do something and get my own small money, and I was so happy about it. But now my mom asked me if I wanted to go to college, and I told her, let me try this. If it doesn't work out, then I'm coming home to go to college. I didn't know she had money at that moment. That is why she never told me, I have money, I need to take you to college. For me, I felt you've done enough for me, you've taken me to secondary school, I'm not the only one you're raising, and then you also need money to take care of the rest of the people. And she had taken so many loans, which she never made me forget. All the time I'm told, do you know, I took loans because of you, Every time we would argue, she would go back there. So I felt like I don't want to be her burden anymore. So she goes out, I leave, I come home, there's a building coming up. And I told Mom, I can't get a decent job. I'm only working as house girl. Can I at least go to college? She said, the money is finished. Go to college. And I was like, wow. And she kept saying, even today she always says it, that I refused to go to college that time. So in her defense, she asked me, but I didn't want to go to college. She was not going to keep that money there. Money had to go and do something else. I was shocked by that. So I stayed home for almost 4 years before joining college. And I remember I reached a point where it was so bad that I started an affair with a married man just because I needed him to take me to college. And we'd go out. He never used to drink, but I used to love to drink. No, it's not my money. He's paying the bills.
Okay, so when this first guy you met back in high school introduced you to alcohol,
Yeah.
You guys, you never stopped drinking from that?
No.
You just continued from there on?
Yeah, I continued drinking. But it wasn't like, it hadn't reached a point where it had become a problem or a daily thing, because it was fun and he used to control everything. So he liked that. He was very controlling. So he would say, we are taking this and that's it. So it never bothered me. But now this other person, you just buy whatever I want. So it's not my money I'm spending, and you want to spend money, I'll just drink. Every time we meet, I'll drink. Every time we meet, I'll drink. Every time we meet, I'll drink. And for me, it was the fact that everyone was going to college, everyone was getting jobs, everyone. And then, in the village, everyone is saying, are you sure you even passed KCSE? Because what are you doing at home? You're supposed to be in college and doing your own thing. And every day I was reminded of that. And every time I would come and tell my mom about it, she's like, I told you to go to college, you refused. She never phrased it the way it came out, because she just asked me, would you like to go to college right now? And I told her, let me go look for a job, and then if it doesn't work, I can't go to college. But she stuck with the fact that you refused to go to college when I asked you to go to college. So every time I would feel like, man, my life is getting wasted. I'm just at home doing nothing. In the village, there are not many opportunities, like getting jobs and everything. We were in the interior part, like 6 kilometers from the tarmac road.
Wow.
So getting a job, where are you going to get a job? Unless you become a shamba boy in somebody's farm, or I go and do shamba things at people's shambas. So, and my mom used to be a teacher. So for her to let me go work in somebody's shamba, I would be embarrassing her. So to her, she would rather, I'm at home doing nothing than being out there in people's places. Because for her, that is, you are shaming her and stuff. So I stayed with this guy, and then I remember I reached a point where I had to ask him, I want to go to college. Would you like taking me to college? And then he was like, yeah, go look for schools and then come back.
This is the married guy?
The married guy now. He was way older. It's like dating your own dad. But at that moment, I didn't care. Like, I was like, I just need to go to college. I just need to get out of this hellhole. Because every day you're reminded of what a failure you are. You know, somebody doesn't have to say it, but you can see it, you can feel it. Everyone who you meet, the way they ask you the questions. And then also, I wanted to stop this affair with that guy, the doctor. I was like, God, I'm done. As in, I can't continue. Because right now he's married, he's putting me in trouble. And apart from that, it was going to blow up at one point. So I didn't want that for myself. So I looked for schools. I even came to Mombasa to check for the Technical University of Mombasa. That time it was called Mombasa Polytechnic University College. I came and I saw, for me it was like, I'll be able to run from this doctor, I'm able to run from this married man. As much as he will be paying my fees, at least I won't have to see him. So I came and I got the school, but when I went back, he said, no, that's a lot of money, I can't pay. And I remember I called my mom. Then he gave me 1,000 shillings. And I'm like, you're giving me 1,000 shillings to do what? And then he was calling other schools just around where we were. He had an office near home. And then I'm like, I'm not continuing with this cycle, because if I went to school near where he was, he would be coming all the time. He'll be monitoring me. He'll be like, everyone will know you're dating a sugar daddy. And that's not something I was proud about. So when he said that, he gave me 1,000, and I remember I called my mom and I told her. He said, no, that's a lot of money. You can't afford that.
Wait, so your mom knew about your affair with this older married guy?
She came to know, yeah.
You told her?
Mm-hmm.
And she was okay with you being taken to college with him?
My mom, she knew at that moment she could not control me. So she was like, it's either I lose my child or just go with whatever she brings. Like, I was a very hard-hearted person. Even now, sometimes I don't care. You know, the way you reach a point where you don't care. So I was like, you're not taking me to college. I'm not doing anything with my life. So even if you tell me you don't like what I'm doing, you're not taking me to college. You're not giving me this, you're not numbing my pain. Every time I look at you, I just see what a failure I am. So my mom kind of read into that and knew if she says no for me to have this affair, I'm just going to blow up. And I had anger issues like something else. When I spoke, everyone listened or everyone went quiet, and I was dying. So she knew about the affair, but there's nothing she could have done about it. It was my life, and I was very vocal about it's my life, my business, and that was it. So she knew about the affair.
So he said he gave her 1,000 shillings?
1,000 shillings. Like 1,000 shillings to him is like giving me 100,000 shillings. For me, it came out like an insult. You just said no, then you give me transport to get back home. Like, as in, and at that moment, I was like, after everything I've sacrificed myself to you, and then you can just take me to college. I was so angry. And I remember I went to a supermarket. I bought myself a bottle of beer. I remember it was whiskey, but I don't remember which brand. I just bought, and I started drinking it in the matatu as I was heading home. So after I told my mom, he said no. And my mom knew I was so devastated. So I got to where I was alighting the matatu. Then I see my mom. She was waiting for me at the stage. Then she's like, let me go try something. Where are those papers? So I gave her the papers. Actually, I applied at TUM and they called me. They sent a letter and everything that was needed. And so I went with these letters to see this married man. So my mom told me, give me those documents. Let me go and see what I can be able to do. So I got home. I was so mad. I was so drunk. I was so dramatic. You know, that was a very dramatic profession. I was so dramatic. And my mom went, the bank agreed to give her a loan. So she got a loan. I only had 2 days left to come to TUM. or my position could have been given to somebody else. So I managed to come, I registered, and I joined my first year. And after joining the first year, I had very, when you're young and then you go join college with the hot cake and stuff, I got into, again, toxic relationship. And again, this guy also made me feel like the guy who I got into a relationship with. Every time we'll be together, he'll be asking about another girl in school. And I was hurt by that. And that feeling still came back. You'll never be good enough. No matter where you go, you're just a mark. You will never be good enough. So I stopped that affair. Then I got into another one. He was also the same. Then I got into another one. Was also the same. So
let me try and get this straight. You're getting into relationships because you need somebody to affirm that you're enough, that you're okay.
Yeah.
To praise you, basically, just to see you.
And to be a girlfriend, a single girlfriend without him and girlfriends, because that's what I was used to. So I was trying to break that, but it's not happening. There's me, and then there are Wanjiko, Nyambura, and whoever, as in, it was always like that. And so at that moment, as much as I never felt beautiful enough, I never felt, even when somebody would tell me, you're beautiful, I'm like, as in, what are you talking about? Because for me, validation, I never got validation at home. I never got validation from anyone. They only focused on how bad I was. My aunties, my mom, my sisters, to a point where my cousin and my sister would lie to my mom on her face, and she would agree. That one, she can do that. It's possible for her. Even before confirming if I did it or not, then she would give me a call, and then she would be quarreling me all over the place. I'm like, why are we fighting, mom? She would go like, your sister said this and this and this and this. And I was like, and you believe that? She was like, but you're always. So there was no way I could believe that somebody would say I'm beautiful and I feel beautiful, because everything about myself was just second best, not the first best. I remember even when you were young, every time I would do something good, they always said, I wish, you did a good job, but you can be better like your sister. The comparison. To a point, I hated my sister. I literally hated my sister. So I even became a tomboy because I didn't want anything associated with my sister. Even if somebody told me you look like your sister, I would literally deny it. Like, I don't look like my sister. And if she came here, we are carbon copies. Like, it's only that she's taller. We are literally like twins. But I hated that. I hated it with all my heart, because she's always reminded me she's the best, and I'll always come in second. I'll never be first when it comes to her. So that was a struggle. Now that something that was planted since I was young, now I'm in college and it's still going on. And I remember I got into this relationship with this guy who was very honest and told me, you're not the only girl I'm dating. There are others. For me, that was, at least he said it. And I was telling myself, I won't fall in love with this guy. I won't. We're just wasting each other's time. I finish college, then I go my way. But he was the most controlling person I've ever met. And the physical abuse started.
Okay.
So this guy, it started so easily. We met an ex. We were working in college. We were both young. And then this ex of mine says hi. And I say hi. And then we pass. Then he started, I think he had his own struggles. But the minute that guy just said hi, that guy just said, that's your ex. And I'm like, Then he started laughing, like, how can you date such a person? He just likes reading, he's so boring and everything. And I remember we started arguing, and I was like, at least he's studying. He goes to class. You never go to school. He goes to school every day. He's studying. He's doing this. He knows what he wants in life. We are both angry. My anger was at another level, and I took the side of that, my ex. And then out of the blues, he just slapped me. And shocked because my dad has never hit my mom. My brother I've never seen my brother hit his wife. I've just been slapped. I went into shock. I could not speak. I just looked at him. It's like, you made me do that. He never apologized. He was like, you made me do that. Why would you do that? Why are you taking his side? I'm supposed to be the boyfriend, So I'm supposed to validate him, even when he was wrong. So I went back to school. I was so down. And to make the matters worse, we were living together. So at the end of the day, no matter how much you run, you still come home. So I came home. He was like, I'm so sorry. You shouldn't have said those things. It was not like, I'm sorry I hit you. You made me hit you. That is how it always was. You made me hit you. And in my head, I'm thinking, he will change. He will never hit me again. When abuse starts happening, you're always in denial. You're like, this is not it. If I become a better person, if at the end, I thought in my head that by the end of college, I'll be the only girlfriend. But it was never so. As in, I was the one paying rent. I was the one who was doing everything. And this guy was still abusing me. I was abused for the littlest thing. I could be abused just because somebody texted me on my phone. And he doesn't know the number. And then he calls the number and hears it's a guy. He doesn't even want to know if it's a classmate or if it was a teacher. For him, it was a guy. And that was enough for me to be beaten up. And I didn't know people knew about it. I only came to find out after I finished college. But I was a very lonely person because I couldn't have friends. He literally alienated me from people who were living together, and immediately after class, he'll be like waiting. If I took more than 10 minutes before coming home, I'll have an explanation. Like, he needs an explanation. Why you are late? Why were you not home? And it's like being married, but you're not married. And that really messed me up. And I remember I started drinking. We would go out with him, and then I would drink myself silly. It was my money. I'm like, it's my money. I use it the way I want. I knew later on when we go home, I'll be beaten up. But I was like, I don't care. Because it was just too much. I was a failure at home. I was a failure everywhere. Even now I'm failing. It was so painful. So I learned to numb the pain from when I was like 22. That's when it hit home, I could not tell my mom because I would be a disappointment. I could not tell anyone. So every time I did a course of tourism management. So we had 4 days where we used to go out for trips, and I would drink from day one until the last day. Like, I would be just drunk. And I only trusted one guy who I'll tell him everything. Like, my boyfriend is abusing me, and he would ask me, why you're not getting out? And I'm like, because I don't want to get into another affair when I'm in college. As in, for me, staying in that relationship was more of I don't want to be used anymore by guys. I already had 3 sexual relationships with 3 guys in school before I met this one. So I didn't want that cycle to continue because I didn't feel good about it. So this guy would always comfort me, and then he would tell me, once we go back to school, this just stays between us. So it continued. When my mom was denied loan, I almost dropped out of school, but I fought so hard because 4 years I was just at home. I couldn't stop going to school. Luckily, I reached out to a brother-in-law who paid the rest of my university fees, paid my rent, did everything, but he never knew I was staying with a guy. He never knew. I just lied to him, and somebody left, finished school, gave me their things, and now I'm not staying in a hostel. So every month he would pay my rent, pay my gas, and then every week he would send me some money. So I was like the married woman with a non-working husband. So I provided everything at home. So during those 4 days, I would just lie to the guy. We used to call him Dad. Dad didn't send money this week, so I don't have money, but I just needed money for the 4 days to just go and drink myself silly. That is the only time I had to be myself, because he's not there watching me. He's not there belittling me. He's not there telling me you're not beautiful enough. He's not there doing his worst. And then we would come back, the same cycle continued. So I finished up I finished up university, but now alcohol had become part of me. Every time I'll be in pain, everything, I went home, we started partying with my family members, and then I'll just drink myself silly again. It started getting out of control, but no one knew how far I was hurting. No one knew how I was feeling on the inside. It was just too much. I just couldn't handle it. Every time somebody would hurt me, I would just keep it on the inside. And all the time, I knew I would never be anything in life. I would never be good enough. And the fact that my mom and my family members knew I was a very, very bad person, even when I was abused sexually, my mom never believed me. And hearing her say those words just messed me up. And she didn't take my side. No one actually believed me that it had happened. So I was sexually abused on a Saturday. Then on Sunday, my mom told me to share with the pastor. I wanted to kill myself. I was so shocked. I was in so much pain, so much anger, so much disappointed, for a point where I just couldn't handle it. So I just walked towards the road, and I knew if I got hit by a matatu, it would be an accident. Yes, I was killing myself, but at least I'll get out of it alive. I'll just die. I won't live to feel this pain. I won't live to feel this anger. So my mom followed me up, and she told me, no matter what, I love you. And that is what stopped me from killing myself. And she told me, I know you don't want to tell me this, but can you tell the pastor? So she called the pastor, and I shared with the pastor. And then he told me he was going to come home on Monday. So when he came, he abused me. So I didn't tell anyone. Then the following Monday, he comes again and does the same thing. And I had to run away from home. I went to my sister's. At that moment, my sister was married. I went to her. I told her what happened. And she told my brother. And then my mom was like, no, I don't believe this happened. And so when it came to happen again, years later after I finished college, my cousin dragged me and he abused me. I never told anyone, because if they could not believe me when I was younger, now that I was older, they could not believe me. So I never told anyone. But I had gotten pregnant. When I told him, he just told me, come and get the money and get rid of that thing. And I went, I looked for a doctor. and I had an abortion. But the pain, the anger, the bitterness, questioning myself, like, why would this be happening to me? Why does these things keep on happening to me? Is it something I'm doing? Is it? And I reached my breaking point. I drank myself silly throughout the time. I blocked everything. I blocked every pain. I blocked every anger. And it reached a point where alcohol became an embarrassment. Everywhere we went, I embarrassed my brother. Everywhere I went, I embarrassed my family members, because now I was out of control. I would try to tell him, but I couldn't say it. I was trying so hard to tell my brother what was happening, but knowing very well what would happen in my family, because they said there before they didn't believe me. Even now, what would change that? And so I kept it to myself. And I remember we disagreed with my brother. He chased me out of his. He said he didn't want to ever see me again. Like, you're an embarrassment, you can't handle yourself. So I went back home. I told my mom, and then she told me, you can just stay here and just, gather your thoughts and everything. But every time I was at home, I was just seeing myself as a failure. Like, you've gone to college, you did so good in school. Why can't you just start over, move out, move away? So I packed my tiny suitcase and I left, and I came to Mombasa. So I stayed with a friend, but still I didn't want to face all this. So when a friend came from home, again I drank myself silly. I thought maybe when I do it, I'll be able to tell him what was going on. But I was so ashamed of what I had turned out to be, as in, like, I could not speak about it. Nobody knew why I was drinking the way I was drinking. Nobody understood why I was messing up my life. And many other times, I remember the last time I thought about ending it all. Like, my brother didn't want to see me. I was a failure, even though my mom could not tell me, I'm disappointed in you. I could see it on her face, like, where did I go wrong? My mom likes saying that, where did I go wrong? So I called a friend of mine and I told them, I think it's over. I can't. I just can't continue like this. It's just too much. And I remember he spoke to me for hours and told me, don't do that. These people, you let them win. They will win this. If you just go and kill yourself, these people will win. So that literally saved my life. That friend saved my life at that moment. Yeah.
Sorry.
I know.
So you're still in contact with that friend to date?
Actually, we've never met. We met through Facebook and we shared contacts, but we've never met physically.
It's a good friend. I'm happy you met him.
Yeah, I was done. I was just done. I was just done.
Sorry. So you made a decision to work on your life.
After that after my friends came from home, and this is a boy we had grown up together from when I was 9. When we moved away, that's when we met each other, because we were children of the teachers. When your parents are teachers, you get, at least you have the same courage. Like, even though the students don't like us because we are teachers' children, we can learn to lean on each other. So we were friends from when I was 9 years old. So when I drank myself silly, I saw the disappointment in that boy. I call him boy because even in my mind, he has never grown. We were just children, because he knew me when we were just babies. And I think that's what changed me. Like, I was like, I don't want to be a disappointment anymore. This is a boy who used to speak so highly of me, and how much I fought in my life, how much I even fought to go to college. And I just decided I want to drink again. I rented a house which is far, far away from me. I live in a place where, if you came to my place, I live like, I'm not even in Mombasa. It's like I'm in Shags somewhere, because I knew if I start having friends who are drinking, who are going partying, there was no hope for me. So that's how I started training my mind. Like, I would just live and go straight home. Even now, if I'm not at work, if I'm not in church, if I'm not in school, I'm home. Like, you'll never miss. If you don't find me home, go look in the church. If you don't look in church, go look in Vipingo. I trained my mind for the last 6 years now. That is how I operate. I don't change that, because I know anything can be a trigger. Anything can be a trigger.
And that's very nice to hear. Earlier in the story, you mentioned about you thought you were not enough. You get validations from anybody in your life. How is it right now?
I still struggle with that. Even now, I still struggle with that. Especially when, I work very hard. If you find me in my field, as in, I love what I do. Every job I get, I just do it with passion. And when somebody, you've done your whole best, and then they just start quarreling you up, it always goes back to that. You will never, and the voices are so loud, like, you will never be good enough. You will never amount into anything. And sometimes it's a struggle. I have to reach out to someone. I'm like, the voices are back. What do I do? And the beautiful thing is, I have people who I can reach out to, who will tell me, come tomorrow, we talk about it. For example, there was a day in class where one of our teachers, so this teacher was talking about ethics, and he mentioned about, he kept on using the word rape, and he used it 3 times, to a point I had to switch him off. Like, I literally, he's here, but I was not here. I can literally see him, but I can't tell you whatever he was talking about. And later on, a week later, I just texted him and I told him, hey, would you mind not using that word? And he was like, why? Because for me, I was just telling him as a by the way, because he doesn't know my story or anything. And then he was like, why? I'm like, it's a trigger for me. Can you not use that word? And because it's somebody who we talk, he just told me, I need you to come see me right now. And so I came. I didn't want to share anything. I was just there, like. So he shared his story, and when he did, it opened up everything. So I told him what happened to me all throughout, and that was, at least, he was like, I promise I won't ever use that word again, but now I understand why that happened. And right now he's helping me walk through the journey. Like, you can heal from all this. It just happened the other day, and he's helping me walk through the journey of that. So he's mostly the one who I reach out and I'm telling him, the voices are back. I always do that. When I hear those voices, I just tell him the voices are back. And then he's like, how loud are they? I'm like, they are very loud. So he says, come, let's talk. So he's helping me heal from all that. Yeah.
happy to hear your friends
Yeah, yeah.
can chill.
Mm.